So welcome back. In this section, we are going to create our second screen, which is the detail screen. In this particular screen, as you can see that we have just added a responsive master layout and it holds a list. In the detail screens, we need to add a lot of components. So let's look into our application, which we are referring to, what we need to add. We need to first add a object layout header here. Then it will contain a icon tab bar, and this is something which you would add a table when user is seeing this. Then you, on switching the icon tab bar to the second bar, you have a graph as well. This graph basically shows you all the items inflow and outflow, and you can see that the inflow is because of the purchase order and the outflow is because of the sales order. And here I can expand it to further inspect what are the negative stock situation, which is causing what are the date in which this will happen. And one special thing which you will see in this table, which represent all the purchase order and sales order, is that if our quantity is going negative, then we will be basically putting it as a button. And here you can see that this is a red color button, and I can press on this button and it will show me some of the suggestion which can be used to fix this negative stock situation. And most of the suggestion will be increasing some of the previous purchase orders or rejecting some of the sales order. There are some of the rating assigned to each action. I can do some of the rejection, but it has rating 2 and some of the rejection of 716, which is, I guess, this exactly sales order which is causing the negative stock situation as rating 1. So based on this, user can perform some action. Now all these inputs to the application should be given by your backend SAP HANA system. You should not be doing any of the computation in the front end aspect, because ideally, or in a best practices way, you might end up performing a lot of computation in your front end, and that will result into your application becoming slow, because your user might be using this application with multiple other applications in a single browser. And if your application is computation intensive or memory intensive, then it will slow down your UI and you will have a bad user experience. So try to put a lot of logics inside your HANA engine to increase the performance as well. So these are all the things which you might also learn in your SAP HANA SQL Professional Advanced course, but this is just general rule of thumb that you would have to create all this logics of computation inside your HANA engine, not in your UI application. You can do some of the computation in your application, but those are some of the exceptions which you can trigger if you cannot use a good backend data where you can pull a lot of analytics computation. Because when it comes to finding a logic to rate your decision here, you might need to consider some of the logic which need to loop over time, or some of the AI can come here. You never know what are the criteria which is resulting into assigning some of the rating to the styles. So you should be putting all this logic inside a machine or an engine which has capability to do complex calculations. So always put this in your HANA engine, in which further computation enhancement can be done if you increase the complexity of the logic in later on. So this is what the application is. One other thing which predominantly you need to see here is how will all this map into a single page. This is basically the detail page. You need to create a lot of containers, and as you can see that this is a vertical container where you have the table, and the table is basically inside an icon tab bar, and below that there's a custom tile page, and all these things are present in my detail screen. So let's go first to see how we will be placing all these components, and then we will be seeing how the output of the UI can be generated if we try to do that, and what not to do in scenario where you're trying to create the layout and UI.